What is going on, YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have episode 121. And boys, ladies and gents, we are very sorry that we did not record, or I should say, upload last week. We did record, and it turned out to just be terrible. I don't know what internet connection issues that I was having. Hopefully, it's good today. We'll see how this rolls as things, continue to go. But it was just a lag fest. I think at one point you guys like entirely lost me. Like it was just so, it was
Mhm.
completely unusable, unfortunately. So we just decided to chalk it and just try again this week. So, Andrew, obviously we had a little bit of a break, but now we are back.
Yeah.
Um, we had a lot of stuff going on with the Cavs, so we will talk about that and a little bit about the combine. So, how are we feeling just after, the Cavs obviously lost um, two games, but they won a nice game against the Knicks as well, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But overall, it wasn't a terrible weekend, I would say.
No, it definitely wasn't a terrible week. I mean, I was able to go to the Cavs Knicks game, which
Very
obviously that
true.
was that was
I
fun. Winning that game was awesome. Um, but yeah, losing last night. I mean, it was kind of one you kind of expected to lose because again, your big guys like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley were all out, and you're playing a bunch of bench guys. Although Dennis Schroeder stepped up and played a massive role in his first Cavs start, dropping almost 30 points.
yeah.
So that was very big. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, just very happy with how everything went over the last couple of days for the Cavs. I mean, they're playing good basketball, man. They're playing really well, and from as far as I know, a lot of people are missing tomorrow's game against Detroit.
Yeah, that's what I saw
But
too.
but again, I think the Cavs are more focused on the health of the players rather than the the seeding of what playoff spot they're going to be in. Because again, I think they learned from the last few years. They rather go into the playoffs just full on healthy and making sure that everybody's able to play instead of, hey, surprise, surprise, 90% of
Yeah,
your roster is fucking injured again.
yeah.
and um, before we continue, though, I do want to shout out our sponsor really quick, Effortless Wins, for sports betting advice and place to boost your wins. Talk to Tony or Greg. The links will be in the description of Spotify and in the comment section on YouTube. Guys, MLB is in full swing now. It's in spring training. You're allowed to actually bet on spring training games. You can only just, depending on what app you use, you can only bet on the money line, and that's about all you can really do. Or some apps like Bet365, you are allowed to bet on like the over unders, but that's about it. NHL is back since their first games were yesterday, back from the Olympics. So NHL is back in full swing again for their second half of the season. Again, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the NBA.
Yeah.
So NBA is still going on. So guys, now's your chance. Start talking to Tony and Greg, especially now that the MLB season is getting ready to begin here very, very soon.
Yeah, I mean, look, uh, freaking beta baseball, it's their bread and butter over there. Like I think
Yeah.
that's where he made a fair majority of his wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like last season because it's you have games every day. So you have the ability to throw down little bets here and there pretty much daily if you are more of
Yeah.
a avid better. Like me personally, I'm not really as big with the betting. I don't do it
Yeah.
every day, but if you are like that and you
Mm-hmm.
want to throw $5 or $10 a day at something, um, following a guy like him and getting the advice from him like that is going to really do you some good. So we definitely highly recommend. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we're going to start doing these shout outs at the beginning because we want to make sure that the people that are actually trying to watch within the first 10 minutes actually see it so we can give our boys some more you know some more views and stuff for the channel. So shout out to the guys at Effortless Wins. We always appreciate them. But yeah, man, got a lot to talk about. Lot to
Yeah.
talk about, mainly with the Cavs. Obviously we, well, last week we did talk about this next week or so being a sort of big week for them to really see where they're at. And fortunately, with some of the nagging injuries that we have sustained, especially after the next game, um, it's going to slow down a little bit, but I'm always a guy that's a little more optimistic in the sense of I'd rather have this happen now. Like I'd rather have these little things happen now. If you want to keep Donovan out for 2 weeks, that's fine. Like it's not going to kill us, especially when it seems like Harden won't be having to sit for too long with his little fractured non-shooting finger, hand, wherever the hell it was. It's basically on like the tip of one of his fingers on his right hand. So him being a lefty, it shouldn't really have too much, of an effect. It was kind of a shock when the news hit. They're like, what the hell did he do that? Because it barely seemed like he ever got hit. So I don't know when it happened, but I did notice Donovan towards the end of the game limping a little bit. And when I saw that, I was like, that's something to monitor. He always seems to have some sort of groin thing going on. I think that's just a reoccurring thing that he's just constantly, has to deal with. It's like an ankle. It's like, well, once you sprain an ankle, it always kind of comes back and over, and you just kind of learn how to deal with it the more that you play on it. So again, at least these aren't like super, bad, injuries at all. But it is something that you want to monitor and make sure that you control as much as you can. So, OKC, I will say that first quarter was, oh my gosh. I think I turned it off during the first quarter because of how bad the start was. I mean, you want to talk about like one of the worst ways to start a game. I'm pretty sure the Cavs had 11 turnovers in the first quarter alone. And at one point it was like back to back to back to back to back. Mm-hmm. Granted, OKC plays tough defense. They also hack around a little bit. I think they get away with a lot. And the refs really let them play through a lot of stuff. So that wasn't lovely to see. But again, that's what you get when you go into OKC and play them. I mean, every night guys are complaining about them, getting foul calls for them. They missed a goaltending. Like the most obvious goaltend I've ever seen that was not called. Like you didn't even need a replay to know how bad of a non-miss call that was. It was so bad, but there was a few no calls as well that were clear fouls. Just a lot of physical play. But I was really proud of the way that they got back into the game. They got a lead at one point for a very short time. But unfortunately, when it comes to these bigger games where we're playing these teams that have these very physical bigs, they made a huge difference, against ours. Those are games where Jared Allen needs to not shrink so much because he's been playing so well over the last month or so. And so having a game like he did against them when, Hartstein was playing really, really great. Chet he had like 15 rebounds or 30, or 13 rebounds. He's not even really known as like a true, rebounding forward. And yet they both killed us, man. So the Cavs have to figure out a way to combat that. They have to combat or find a way to combat the level of defense and that level of physicality that the Thunder play on a night-to-night basis, especially if you want to make a trip to the NBA Finals, because you are most likely going to play them unless they slip up, somebody gets hurt, and a team like the Spurs or one of those teams or even the Nuggets squeak in there and find themselves a way to get in, which can always happen. It is the playoffs, so anything can happen at that point. But if you're going to go and make a trip to the finals, you better be able to make sure that you can match the physicality that they had. But I was really, really happy with the way that they responded against the Knicks. And obviously you were there, which, by the way, before I say anything about the game, that home court that they have with those orange jerseys is like top notch, like one of the coolest courts I think in the entire NBA. It's so sick. The jerseys look really, really slick. Like I will always love those blue ones. Like the navy blue ones are always going to have a special place in my heart. But those orange ones are pretty fire. So everything looked great. But the point is, the Cavs came back and they played phenomenal defense, and they had a really good game plan, especially against Brunson, which was putting Dean Wade on Brunson, which is insane because you know it's not like Brunson is a very big guy. He's only like 6'1" or 6'2". Like he is not a big guard by any means. Dean Wade is 6'9". So it was a little bit different to see as big of a matchup like that going on, but it worked. And then when you were able to have him switch off against Harden, he was able to do enough. Even when Schroeder came in, even though he's about the same height and the same build, he is still more physical than you would get out of a Garland. Unfortunately, and it
Mhm.
made it did a difference. For Brunson, every point that he scored, like he had to work for it, and a lot of the other guys just struggled. I mean, I will give the Cavs some credit. They played some phenomenal defense because the Knicks shot so poorly. They couldn't buy a basket, especially in that third quarter. Oh, I think they scored like 11 points in that third quarter. They went a long period without scoring anything. So the Cavs also got a little lucky in the fact that they shot so poorly because the Cavs didn't really shoot the ball, really, really good either. But they did really, really well on on one end. They definitely rebounded a lot better. Evan played a much better game. Mobley had a really good stretch as well, where he played really good. Harden played good. Donovan didn't shoot the ball well, but he at least made plays and was able to still, put up 25. So they did enough. It was a good win to to come back to because the Knicks have been playing much better. They went through a really weird soft period there for a little bit, but they played a much better game against a team that you're definitely going to see in this playoff run. So it was good to get a win against them. It sucks that we're not going to be truly healthy against Detroit. I hope at least the other game that we play against them, we will have more of the guys. But we'll see how that plays out. At this point, I don't want to rush any of them really back if we don't have to, because you're still in a position. You're still in that sort of role where you're able to be fourth or fifth place in the East, and as long as you can stay within that top four range, I think we're totally fine. So, just happy that we were able to have a good game against the Knicks. In all honesty,
Yeah, and that's the big thing too. Is like when you do play like those top teams in the Eastern Conference, like the New York Knicks, you want to win those games, and it's not so much for again to overtake them in the standings or anything like that. It's more so to just prove and show that like, hey, even if we're just missing like a Max Strus or something, we could beat a team like the New York Knicks,
yeah,
or we could beat a team like Boston. We could beat Detroit. Now, obviously, tomorrow, like as we said, we're going to be missing a lot of guys for Detroit, but we still play them again in like a few days, anyways. And I'm sure we're going to get everyone back then. Um, as for the injuries and stuff like that, I mean, we all know that James Harden hurt the tip of his thumb or whatever the finger was. I think it was his thumb, and luckily it was just the tip of the thumb, and that it's only going to last maybe like a few days, maybe a week or so. So it's not like it's a severe injury. He's going to be he's technically so he could still play technically. I think they're
yeah,
just resting him just to because again, what it's getting closer to playoff time, and you want guys fully healthy, so you don't want to take a gamble on it because he could have played yesterday against Milwaukee, but like again in a meaningless game against Milwaukee, why take that gamble to then he breaks his thumb and now guess what? Now he's gonna miss a month or something, and that's just unnecessary. So and then with Mobley, it's a calf strain. I mean, again, something that he was dealing with a little while ago where he missed like 5-6 games, but it's one of those scenarios where you just don't want to again overexert him and re-injure it, and he's out for a longer term.
yeah,
And then all the other guys are just smaller injuries. It's more just rest and ice, and they're fine taking a rest day or so. Um, I was a little bit worried about Schroeder because I know when one of the plays he was like hobbling really bad, and I thought, oh, great, not him. And turns out he's okay. So again, it's just another rest day for Dennis Schroeder. So there's no need to panic about these injuries. They're all very much injuries that they could play with right now, but they're
Yeah,
choosing not to. And again, it's just more so choosing your team's health over choosing to win games that could potentially risk further injury of these players. So I like what we're doing. Again, I'm sure we're probably going to get blown out by Detroit tomorrow with who we have playing, but I'd
probably.
rather get blown out by Detroit than lose 2 to 3 guys to injury.
Yeah.
So uh, I take that as a kind of a personal win for the Cavs. Um, but all in all, I mean, the team's playing super well. They showed that the other night against New York, and Dean Wade. I can't tell you. I get he's not scoring buckets, but the fact that he's held a guy like Jalen Brunson to absolutely nothing,
Right.
and it seems like he does that every time he faces Jalen Brunson. Every time he's matched up against Brunson, he holds him to like 10% shooting.
Yeah.
So I think the key for the Cavs is if you see the Knicks in the playoffs, just put Dean Wade on Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
um, and I think someone else on the team does it too. I can't remember who else, but there's another guy on the team that holds Brunson to absolutely nothing. So I take that as a massive win against the Knicks. And again, it just shows that this Cavs team can beat the bigger teams. So, we got guys like Boston coming up, Detroit again. Guys will be healthy for those games, and it's going to be interesting to see what this team can do against those bigger, against Boston and Detroit.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it does suck for me at least to not see us at full strength against Detroit because that was really the games that I really wanted to see. But again, we know this from the LeBron era that the regular season really doesn't matter. I mean, even look at last year. Like we did what we did at the regular season, and we got first rounded or sorry, second rounded after sweeping them, the Heat in the first round. But again, it's because we were hurt at that time. I would rather be hurt now and be fresh and healthy, ready to go into the playoffs than getting hurt as you're getting into the first round and getting through that, next round. So, it's going to happen. It's a long, season. It is, it does suck, but it's just how things go. But the good thing is they're not severe, and it's important to navigate, gate them as let's not let them get severe. So I have no problem with them having to sit. I mean, I honestly heard that Harden was going to play through this, so I don't know how long that they will keep him out for. The thing that I'm curious about is the Keon Ellis injury. He has a fractured index finger, which isn't still too bad. It's not like he's a shooter, but he's going to have to tape up his finger. Which I mean, again, Jared Allen did the same thing, and he played through it. Like he rarely missed time this whole year for that. So those type of injuries that you get, they're not as bad to deal with, and it kind of just is what it is. But the Cavs are in a good spot, man. Like they're playing some really good ball. Again, you were down 40-25 in the first quarter against the Thunder and only ended up losing by 8 after a really good run until the very end where you just kind of ran out of juice and just we're down too much for too long, pretty much. It was a little, too little too late. Guys were not hitting shots. I think Sante Merrill was the only reason we even got back into that game, which is good to know. But if it wasn't for him in the third quarter there, we would have been screwed. And he didn't shoot well at all against the Knicks. So guys are going to have it one night, and then guys aren't going to have it. I think having Donovan sit a little bit is going to help because he's not shooting the ball very well, especially since the break. So I like for him to be able to get some time off, and I also like hopefully would like to see Harden play without him, because I want to see Harden drop a 30 bomb. Like, I want Harden to kind of be Harden and just see what the team looks like with him being, the lead scorer there. Not that he's going to be once Donovan comes back, because obviously this is Donovan's team, and I think Harden very much knows that. But they're just a very unselfish squad in general, and all of these, like, all this talk about like what Harden was, like him being a ball hog and all that, you just don't see it. You really don't see it at all.
No.
He's been great. He's been a great teammate. Everybody has enjoyed, what he brings. He's elevating the big guys. I mean, if we can get more out of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, that will do so much for this ball club, especially if Mobley can be a 20 and 10 guy again. Like, that would be phenomenal. But right now, Jared Allen's been that. So at least one of them is. And I was glad that Evan actually shot the ball better against the Knicks.
Yeah.
I have been saying for a while, I'm like, don't let him shoot another three. And he started the game technically 2 for 2. I mean, I know that last three-pointer that he shot was technically a 2, but it was pretty damn close. They could have given it to him, but it is what it is. But at least he shot it with confidence, and he shot it with a little more of an arch, because he
always line drives it. Yeah,
he always line drives it. I never understand the hype that he has in the off season when it looks phenomenal, and then he starts into the regular season, and he's just like, just almost chucks it at the rim.
I feel like that's just, and I feel like that's a confidence thing. And like you said the other night against the Knicks, like, he looked super confident in that jump shot. And I think if he has that confidence, he's a very dangerous player.
Yeah.
Because when he shoots with confidence, dude, he's a bucket when he shoots with confidence. So watching that game, watching that New York game in person, you saw the confidence in his shot, like, because he didn't hesitate either. Because there's times where he kind of like goes up with it, kind of like hesitates a little bit, and then he kind of just then line drives it into the rim or whatever. This time he just said, "Oh shoot, I'm wide open." Just, all right, boom, bucket. All right, boom, bucket. It looked. The shot was flowing. It looked more confident and more comfortable. And you need that out of him. And I think he understands that he needs to be more confident in his shot. And I tell you what, he played well in that Knicks game. I think him and Allen both had 20-10 games.
I don't know if he had 10 to 10 rebounds. He might have had like 8 or 9. I know there was a stretch where he had like 12 points, like 7 rebounds. So I don't know what his like final.
His final number was 12 and 7.
12-7, okay. Because I think Jarrett had like 17 and 10 or something.
19-10.
Okay, so close enough. Harden had that was the thing about Harden too, is Harden only had like 4 or 5 assists in that game. He's usually been averaging like 8.
But he also dropped 4 threes and 20 points too.
Yeah,
he was shooting the ball extremely well.
Yeah, and Donovan was not. I think Donovan was like 4 of like 15 or something, or whatever it was. Like, he was not shooting the ball well.
No, but he did get 23 points, and so he found other ways to score.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the free throw line is going to do it for you. But again, like, having guys like Schroeder and having guys like Ellis on defense at least makes a huge, difference. And like, that's why I'm so glad that we got rid of Hunter for 2 guys that are playing the roles better than what Hunter was, despite him having more length and having more of that sort of versatility that you thought you had with him. And then he got hurt immediately after, which is really unfortunate for him. But it's just kind of the way that the cards fell, and it ended up kind of falling into our favor. So obviously we're dealing with our own stuff, but it's not quite as bad as what other teams are dealing with right now. Garland hasn't played yet, and Hunter hasn't played since he got hurt, and he's done for the year. So it's a wild league, man. Like, it's so unpredictable how this league works. But the Cavs playing good ball, and that's the important thing. So they just have to keep it up. And I know, obviously, we got Detroit. Is that tomorrow?
Yeah, Detroit's tomorrow.
Okay, so let me look real
And
quick.
it's at Detroit.
Yeah, so it's
And
at
then,
Detroit. It is on ESPN, so everybody can watch it. So that's cool, but nobody's gonna want to watch it.
yeah. And
And
then
then the
we go to
Cavs
Brooklyn
have,
Sunday.
yep,
And
they
then
have,
we're back to back home games on the 3rd and the 8th. Against the Pistons Celtics.
yep. Which is, I mean, those are other two games. I'm sure you're gonna see Donovan and Harden back for it
Pistons game.
if not one or both of those games.
I think they're going to
Especially
skip
being at
the.
home.
I think they'll skip the next game, so that way both of them can play in the Pistons Celtics games.
Well, yeah, because you really don't need them against the Nets either. Like the
No,
Nets are a very bad team. Oh, I mean, you beat the brakes off of them with your full squad, and we only lost by 2 points. And honestly, Jared Allen almost had the game tying, layup as time expired, and just so happened to go off right before he was able to get it off, so it didn't count. But the Cavs played pretty dang well. I mean, Schroeder having 26 was very, very cool. Craig Porter Jr. again had nine assists on 8 points. Like anytime he gets a chance to play, he always plays phenomenally and always does a really good job sort of being a great facilitator and just like rebounding the ball as a guard. Like he does all of that stuff super well. He doesn't have to score. I wish that there was more room for him to play, but there's just not right now. Like with Schroeder, it really diminished, a decent bit of the minutes that he was probably going to get. But it's a good chance to see what else the Cavs, reserves can do. Can Merrill sort of step up a little bit? Can Dean Wade play a better game? Can Jared Allen really, really step it up and, go have a 30-point night? And then we'll see if Harden is back or not. But yeah, man, it's just nice to see the Cavs playing well with the new squad, and I'm really excited for the availability that we're going to have in the playoffs. So really excited for that. But I do want to quickly shift a little bit because we have not talked Brownies in quite a bit of time, obviously for good reason because there hasn't really been anything to talk about. But it is Combine Week this week. We currently have workouts going on as we speak. I mean, it's been linemen, I think, and linebackers, or at least D linemen and linebackers. And this is going to be a chance to really see, certain guys that are going to be at the top of the board or are either going to solidify themselves or they're going to go down a little bit. And then you're going to see guys that are low on most people's boards that are going to skyrocket because that's how the combine works. But you're going to be able to see measurables. You're going to be able to see how these guys are all going to stack up physically against each other. And then how they grade really determines, like, especially once we do mock drafts, post combine is when you start getting those scores. And those scores do a really good job of being able to mix in, their athletic ability, their traits physically, just how they test in general. It's a decent gauge to help with like finding some really good talent. Like guys like Schlesinger graded phenomenally last year. There's a reason that it contributed very well, like he did against or with us this season. So being able to look out for that is always going to be fun, and it's going to make doing mock drafts a little more easier to kind of dictate and help like round out because you kind of know what the Browns are probably going to do in the first round, or or even the first 2 rounds. But you don't really know if they're going to stay at 6 or if they're going to trade back and try to get another first for the following year. But hey, there's a lot of noise to be made, and there's been several things said. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about last week that we didn't get to talk about due to my horrible internet issues, which thank God it's been doing pretty well so far. I really haven't noticed me like lag out or anything, so that's good. But the one thing that I was going to discuss here is there was conversations going on last week within media about if the Browns decide to stay at uh, the 6th spot, and let's say a guy like a Caleb Downs is still there at 6, and maybe Tate is gone, like if he goes to, the Jets or the Titans or whoever, and you have Downs at 6, do you offer to take him? Do you still go receiver? Do you go lineman, or do you trade back and see what else is there later on in the round? Like, if you are the Browns and you were in that position, what are you doing?
I mean, it's tough. I feel like I'm just down to stick with my original plan and just go wide receiver and offensive lineman, because again, this is a draft you cannot mess around in. You can't mess this draft up. If Andrew Berry messes this up in some way, shape, or form, he's got to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So what he does with that 6th overall pick is very, very crucial to him keeping his job or not. Like, that's easier said than done. So, to be honest, I have no idea what, like, again, for me, it's keep that 6th pick and keep the 24 and just stay where you're at and just draft a wide receiver, draft offensive line, and just keep things simple. Don't do anything stupid. Now, with the news of like maybe the Browns just making a phone calls for Chris Olave and and Marvin Harrison Jr. Now if you get one of those guys to come in and be your number one, then you could look to shop that 6th overall pick somewhere else, because now you got a good quality wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to probably have to use that pick anyways to go get either one of them. So I'm cool. Like, if that's the case, if you can get a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Chris Olave
Then
with the 6, then I'm completely cool with that 6th pick going and being gone. If not, then I don't see what else you can do there. And knowing our luck, the Browns are going to do something stupid, probably drafting another linebacker or something.
Yeah.
Or probably some like defensive player or whatever. And it's like, all right, well, here we go again. Jerry Jeudy's our number 1 wide receiver. And
yeah.
And it's going to be fun all over again. Like, the Browns should just not overthink this.
No.
The thought is go in, top tier wide receiver, top tier offensive tackle, move on. If you can't do that, Andrew Berry should not have a job in this city any longer.
No.
Because he's trying too hard to make everything super complicated, super data-based. He needs to stop thinking that way and just think simplistically. Think football.
He's trying to be the smartest guy in the room, like
He
we've
has
been
to
saying
be.
for a long, long time.
That's the problem he has. He acts like he has to be the smartest guy in the room. No, you don't have to. I don't care if you went to Harvard or not.
Right.
Just do your freaking job. Look at the positional needs. Say, damn, this wide receiver room sucks. Probably need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Damn, this offensive line room kind of sucks. We probably need some offensive line help.
Yeah.
Like, not sitting there and be like, we have some really good D linemen. Let's get another D lineman. Like, no, we don't need 15 good ones.
Yeah.
We need the other linemen, the O lineman, or like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, we saw what's going on with Arvel Reese and Sonny Styles in the combine. I'm sure Andrew Berry might be licking his chops and be like, speedy linebacker.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, back up. I get it. Yeah. I would love those guys too. Back up and just focus on wide receiver and offensive tackle, please.
Yeah.
Stop trying to go defense. Somehow, somebody he's going to draft like Caleb Downs or some shit, and it's going to piss me off. Like, it's like Caleb Downs himself's not going to piss me off. It's the fact that Andrew Berry pissed me off by drafting Caleb Downs. And Caleb Downs is going to get a lot of flack for no reason that he doesn't deserve, because Andrew Berry's a moron.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't take a Caleb Downs by any means.
I would love him, but we don't need him.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we have much bigger needs. and those needs are more so receiver and lineman than a a safety. And look, I still think you can still get quality at that position. Later on in the draft, and I think even with linemen, I don't think you necessarily need to get line. I think you I think you can get a lineman at your pick at 24, for me at least. So I think you go receiver first. I think you don't overthink it at all. You go top receiver, or you trade back, try to get a first round pick, and just hope for next season that you can just continue to elevate the squad more and more and more. But the needs are very clear. It's not rocket science. Don't overcomplicate things. Do
Mm-hmm.
the things that you were set to do. Now, I will say, once free agency does hit, we are going to know a little bit more as to what the Browns are really going to do as a squad. Because whatever that they don't get in free agency, they are going to need to get in the draft anyway, which is obviously pretty much common sense, but it's just the way that things roll. So if the Browns go a little bit heavier, let's say with linemen in free agency, then they're probably going to go wide receiver first in the draft, which is totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that ends up being Makai Lemon, Tate, or if you like Jordan Tyson, like whatever you think you want to do, whatever you value the most there, just go for it. And even so, you still got guys like Denzel, Boston, who, although aren't guys that will necessarily have breakaway speed, what they will do is be a huge body that can catch balls automatically. And again, he's 6'4". There's a lot of bigger receivers in this draft. There's a lot of guys that are above 6 foot, 6'2". Boston 6'4", I think. So there's plenty of freaking there's so many options for you out there. So the Browns, if they screw this up, it's 100% on Barry, and it's going to be very disheartening as a fan if we just go about this the wrong way again and flop again, because then it will just prove that Andrew Berry didn't deserve another chance, and that it wasn't Depot that was technically starting to make those sort of decisions for everybody, and that we really do need a new guy at the helm there. But the fact of the matter is, the Browns have a really good opportunity in front of them, and as enticing as a guy like Caleb Downs is, I think you stick with your gut. I think you stick with receiver, or you go lineman, and you just roll with the punches. But if they don't get any sort of receiver in free agency, I would really like for them to double up on receiver in the draft. Just like you did at running back, I think that would be a phenomenal idea for them to do in the draft. So I don't know what your take is on that, but that's kind of where my head's at, because I would rather get younger guys in the draft and build more around them than get a Christian Kirk or something like that, a name that you've been hearing thrown around a little bit, or even a Chris Godwin, which sure would be a 4th round pick, but it's a veteran. I get it, but he's not going to blow the top off of team's leg, like he once did.
Yeah, and what this draft is going to tell us, it's going to tell us a whole lot.
Yeah.
Really. Because like you said, it could tell, like, okay, maybe towards the end, Depot wasn't making as many decisions as we thought he was. Maybe these guys weren't making as many of these decisions as we thought, and it was all Andrew Berry being just a moron and just him doing whatever stupid stuff he does. And same with J.W. Johnston and all the stupid, crazy crap that he does. That God, that dude should be in prison for what he's done to this team. Like I wouldn't mind if Mayor Bibb just like went up to him personally and just put handcuffs on him and just threw him in jail. Like that'd be the best thing he's ever done.
Yeah, I was
for
about
the
to say
city.
because with a bit of the news that's starting to come on, it seems like Bibb needs to be the one that goes to jail as well because he is ruining our tax money, spending it on stupid stuff all the time. But yeah,
But
man,
no,
it's just not a good time. It really isn't as a
no,
Browns fan.
no. And again, this draft is very, very important to us. So we're T minus not even like a month and a half away from the draft.
Yeah.
Um, which I actually might go to it because it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that would be sick.
um, but it's one of those things where it's like this is Andrew Barry's last shot because again, too, you have to think this could make or break whether guys like Denzel stays, Miles stays,
Yeah.
others stay. So this is probably the biggest draft, the biggest year yet for the Browns
Oh
because if
man.
not,
Yeah.
90% of that roster is dipping the hell out. And then you're going to go back to what you were in mid 2000s, early 2010s, where nobody wanted to step foot in the city of Cleveland. Nobody wants to go near this team. And all of the hard work that John Dorsey did starting in 2018 and whatnot has just been all for nothing. And
Yeah.
all the
Been
people who
nuked.
bought in are gone and nuked.
Yeah.
And just so this is basically the last chance to save Cleveland Browns football. Otherwise, guess what? That brand new stadium, it's going to be meaningless
Yeah.
because nobody's going to even go to a game.
Exactly. And that's the point is like you have to get this right sooner than later because you can't justify building a nice stadium like this and not having a quality football team to back it up. Like it's like with the Raiders, like they haven't really been like truly like a phenomenal team, but they've had some decent years where they've at least like done something. But like, LA, they've both done phenomenally in their new stadium. The
Yeah.
Bills are going to do well in their new stadium. Kansas
Atlanta.
City, Atlanta, all these teams are at least putting out a product, man, and the Browns are just not. And I mean, you're totally right. I mean, this is probably quite literally the biggest draft that the Browns have had since 2018, when we got Baker and Ward. Um, because really the start of the foundation was the draft before that, which was Miles and Chief and
Yep.
Jabril, which Jabril, obviously hasn't been a part of the team in a while, but losing Chief is a tough one. We knew after seeing what Fannin did, we knew that this was probably
Chief
going to
was
be
done.
Chief's exit, but it still sucks because he was all about Cleveland guy for life, and I think fans
Recruited
are
guys
always
to come
gonna
here.
right, like it's we at least appreciate that out of guys like that, like guys that really took that stuff to heart, or even Teller. Like Teller is the one that really killed me because you are seeing his wife post and being like, man, like we built a family here for the last 7 or 8 years. Like we got to pull our kids out of school and have them go to a new place at some point, and that's tough. Like that's really tough to try to imagine, and you really don't think about that stuff as a fan until you see it like that, and it's just sad. Like it sucks, but this is the way that this league works, and it's very unforgiving. It really, really is. But the Browns have a big opportunity in front of them, and if they can even get to like 500 or like 8-9, 9-8, that will at least be a good start because at least you're giving yourself a chance to win games and you're putting yourself in a position where you're not trying to get a top 5 pick. You're just trying to compete and be a good team again.
Yeah.
I think fans would enjoy that a hell of a lot more than trying to, root for a top 5 pick because there's just no. The only people that have fun with that are people that have been doing mock drafts since November, like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like those guys are out there. Like you've seen the same guys posting mock drafts since November.
Yeah. And also too, like to your point, even if the Browns were to say like go like 7-10, 8-9, 9-8, you're showing Miles and Denzel like, listen, guys, we're trying. Like we are actively trying to bring you back to the playoffs. So trying to make you a competitor. Like we are doing whatever we possibly can to make sure you guys are not even just making the playoffs, once every 2 years or something, but like a consistent playoff team. Like, okay,
That's
now
the
for the rest
thing.
now the rest of your career, you guys are in the playoffs almost every year, kind of like a Ravens team or a Steelers team. Like, you know, we're not strongly built, but or at least we're consistently making the playoffs every year. Or, you know, we might miss, like, we might make it this year, but miss it next year, but then make it for the next 4 or something.
Right.
So it's like, I'd rather, you know, those guys would be a lot more comfortable with the situation of like, okay, cool. We went like 7-10, 8-9. We just missed a wild card spot. We're inches away from a playoff berth. This team feels like they're back to saying like this team can do something. If we just got 1 or 2 more pieces, we are like right there. And I feel like 2020 when we almost made the AFC Championship game. It's like this team is just right there. If you just get 1 to 2 more guys, you're so close.
Yeah.
And obviously for that 2020 game, it was almost decided pretty much by a helmet to helmet collision that should have been called by Sorensen because he just clobbered Rashard Higgins in the helmet. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you like if you finish around the 500 mark, you're telling your top tier guys like, listen, we're serious. Yes, the last couple of years have been a struggle. I mean, well, the last like 2 years have been a struggle. I mean, because we made the playoffs 2 years ago, or 2 seasons ago, or whatever, 3 seasons ago now.
Yeah.
But we're serious. We're trying our hardest to make you guys a consistent playoff team. Just bear with us. Look, we finished 8-9. Shedeur played really well. We just had to get him a wide receiver who can actually catch the football, not drop a football. And all it took was just firing the entire coaching staff and bringing a brand new set of eyes and ears and whatnot to, you know, make sure. And you know what? The more I keep thinking about it, the more I'm opening more and more up to Todd Monken being the head coach.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know he has the capabilities of being a fantastic head coach. And the people he brought around him were the guys who worked with Lamar Jackson, were the guys who worked with Derrick Henry. You know, you brought in their coaches that worked with all these top tier guys. And guess what? That's great for Quishon Judkins. That's great for Shedeur Sanders. You know, at this point, if Deshaun does win the QB battle, you pray to God he plays well.
Yeah.
But we all know that's not the case. But you look at it and, you know, if you can make this team believe again, guys will stay. And then it might be Miles who does the role of Njoku where he recruits guys to come in and be like, listen, if you were to come here, this team will have what it takes to go far. Yeah. And that's exactly what you want. You want your players to start recruiting guys here again.
Yep.
And all it takes is, again, we're not asking for much. 7 wins. 7 to 10, 8, just around 500. 7 wins. That's if you could do that, guys would start believing again and be like, okay, cool. We were a win or 2 away from a playoff. We're super close. And guess what? The AFC North may not be as strong this year because, again, Mike Tomlin's gone. Harbaugh's gone. You know, players are probably going to, you know, Aaron Rodgers is probably done. And the Steelers don't know who the quarterback situation is.
Yeah.
They don't even know if Will Howard's going to be any good or any healthy.
No.
And without, you know, the eyes and ears of Todd Monken and John Harbaugh, the Ravens their offense might just implode a little bit.
And you really don't know what the Bengals are going to be because they're always
injured.
They're such a weird team.
They're such a weird team. Joe Burrow's always injured, and then their defense was just absolutely abysmal. But it's one of those things where, like, hell, at this point, 8-9 wins might win you the division.
Yeah, it might. Low key.
And if you could win the division during this season, again, guys, we're not saying like it's gonna happen. We're not like fathoming into the season, or, you know, we're not like going like and it's gonna happen. We're just saying if things play out and the way like the AFC North looked, 8 wins could make you a postseason team and win the division. And you know how crucial it would be if you gave Miles and Denzel a home playoff game, the first home playoff game in Cleveland Browns Stadium. Like,
place going nuts.
the place would go crazy. The city of Cleveland would be, I don't know if, hell, even if we had one home playoff, forget the Super Bowl. If we had a playoff game, the city would burn to the ground because like, oh my
100%
God, that's
would.
the first playoff game since, you know, Cleveland Municipal. And that's the big thing too, is we haven't had a home playoff game since Municipal Stadium. We have not had one playoff game at home, and
Yeah.
it's from 99 to now. And guess what? If you could do that, oh my God, how many of these guys would be so stoked? And they'd be like, oh my God, guys, come to Cleveland, come to Cleveland, come to Cleveland. And then they'd be like, oh my God, this brand new stadium is going to be awesome. It's going to be sick. And then fans are going to want to go, and it's going to be packed, and it's going to be bumping and jumping and rocking. And then you get the entire city excited. Everybody's excited. This draft determines all that. And what you do this offseason determines everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's a opportunity for them to really make a stretch here. It doesn't have to be a super long, rebuild. It can really just be a reload. Like, you have pieces, you have guys that you can build around. The offense, they just have to get this shit down. Like, they have to get it right. And that's why this draft is so dang important. So we will see how the draft goes, but we still have a long way to go. And we still got free agency as well. So we'll see how aggressive or not so aggressive they'll be. Barry has said that they'll be a little bit more than they have, previously, but they'll probably be more aggressive next season is what they've said. So only time will tell. But yeah, that's that's pretty much gonna do it for me. I don't really have anything else to really add to it. We somehow I ended up getting 51 minutes into this, so I think this is a good time to cut it. So anything else you got before we hop off for the night, my friend?
All good, man.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm glad that we had no issues. I saw that my camera cut out a few times, but the audio seemed fine. Yeah, I was about to say the audio seemed fine. So you guys might see me backing it out real quick. It's very hard, just with the amount of people that we have at my parents' house. We just have so many things on the Wi-Fi that it's bound to happen, and it just is what it is. So just gotta roll with the Palanches, at least until I'm married. And then when I'm married, I can live with my beautiful fiance and only have her and I on it. And, I can record before she gets home, and then it's perfect. So, yeah, it'll be great. Once that happens, but we still got about another 8 or 9 months until that happens. So until then, we're going to have to deal with it as best we can. So we will see you guys next week with hopefully some more Cavs news. Hopefully we can get a little bit more into combine talk, and yeah, we'll see what else pops off in the sports world by this time next week. So until then, we'll see you next time.